You don't win people by getting louder. You win clarity by getting quieter. In a world shouting for attention, the rarest move is a calm question, not to humiliate, not to corner, but to wake something up. That's the difference between manipulation and wisdom. One uses questions to silence others. The other uses questions to free the truth inside them. Socrates understood this. He never won debates, he dissolved them. No grandstanding, no applause-seeking speeches, just precise questions, placed like stepping stones across a river of confusion until the other person walked themselves to clarity. Tonight, we use the Socratic Method, 5 questions that can destroy any argument calmly, a living practice rooted in Stoic philosophy. Here's the principle. A statement makes the ego defend. A question invites the mind to think. Practice it on yourself first. That's Stoic discipline. Mastering what you can control. Your attention, your intention, and the questions you choose to ask. Think of these questions as ethical scalpels. Sharp enough to cut through illusion, gentle enough to keep dignity intact, yours and theirs. This isn't about sounding smart. It's about becoming clear. And clarity is a form of mercy in a chaotic age. So ask yourself, when you rush to prove you're right, what are you really protecting, truth or your image? If that stings, good. That's the doorway opening. Now, the first blade, the question that quietly undoes false certainty. You don't loosen someone's certainty by yelling. You loosen it with one calm question. How do you know that's true? Say it without sarcasm, then be silent. In psychology, that silence invites the brain to audit its own story. In Stoicism, it's the discipline of assent, refusing to stamp true on any thought you haven't examined. Success requires a top college. How do you know? From data or from fear of standing outside the crowd? Happiness is more money. How do you know? From lived experience or from ads that sell hunger as identity? The room gets quieter not because you won, but because certainty lost its oxygen. Socrates used this like a craftsman uses a chisel. A confident young Athenian declared, "Reality is the only truth." Socrates smiled. How do you know that's true? The reply reached for "everyone says so" and collapsed in the air. This question doesn't humiliate, it illuminates. You're not attacking a person, you're auditing a belief. When someone says, "You're going to fail," ask, "What makes you so certain?" When your inner critic whispers, "They don't care about you," ask, "What evidence proves that right now?" Then wait. Strategic silence forces the mind to show its receipts. What would have to be true for that to be false? Flip the lens. Drag blind spots into daylight. If one counterfact could unravel the story, maybe that story shouldn't be steering your life. Every argument looks solid until you see what's holding it up. Most of the time, it isn't truth, it's assumption. Invisible, untested, quietly shaping every fact you defend. Pause 0.5 seconds. Think of it like an iceberg. What you see is small. What keeps it afloat are the beliefs below the surface. Someone says, "Everyone should go to college because it guarantees success," end quote. But underneath, they assume everyone defines success the same way. That money equals meaning. That debt has no emotional cost. The moment you surface those assumptions, the argument trembles. It's not destruction, it's awakening. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Assumptions do exactly that. They turn imagination into prison walls. You assume your coworker disrespects you, so you armor up before every meeting. You assume your partner should just know, and resentment grows in the silence between you. The Stoics taught that pain multiplies when you mistake imagination for evidence. So next time you hear, "I'm not good enough," ask, compared to who? When someone says, "Everyone should live this way," ask, "Are you sure everyone wants the same kind of life?" These questions don't attack, they reveal. They lift the fog around logic and show the belief driving the pain. Awareness collapses illusion. When you shine light on an assumption, truth reorganizes itself. The Socratic Method and Stoic philosophy share one aim: to free you from invisible chains. Every time you ask, "What am I assuming?" you're not doubting life, you're training your mind to see it clearly. And clarity, not certainty, is what peace is made of. Surface the iceberg beneath the opinion. Iceberg underwater visual, fog lifting, person exhaling slowly at desk. The question that separates thinkers from believers. You don't fear the truth, you fear losing the story that's been protecting you. Certainty feels safe, but it can quietly turn into a cage. The clearest way out is one brave question. What evidence would change your mind? Ask it with calm eyes and a steady tone. No trap, no sarcasm. This question draws the line between the thinker and the believer. A thinker says, "Show me better data and I'll adjust." A believer says, "Nothing." And the moment nothing appears, the debate is over. You've met identity, not inquiry. A friend declares, "Crypto is a scam." Instead of counterpunching, ask, "What specific evidence would make you reconsider?" If they can name a fair signal, you now share a standard. If they can't, you've found the real obstacle. Pride dressed as principle. Epictetus warned, "No one can learn what he already thinks he knows." The Stoic cure isn't humiliation, it's humility. You're not trying to win, you're trying to make learning possible again. At work, if this experiment fails or succeeds, what numbers would prove it? In relationships, if I change this one behavior for 30 days, what would you need to see to feel heard? With your inner critic, what current facts, not fears, justify this anxiety? You transform vague conflict into measurable clarity. Psychology calls it pre-commitment to evidence. Stoicism calls it the discipline of assent, refusing to stamp true on a thought until reality earns it. Try a 7-day practice. Before each big opinion, write down the evidence that would move you either way. You'll feel your shoulders drop, because clarity lowers the temperature. You're no longer defending an identity, you're testing a hypothesis. That's what adults do when they're serious about truth. You don't need louder arguments. You need agreed upon signals. Ask for them kindly, precisely, consistently. Let that sink in. Pre-commit to signals, not pride. Hands writing a note, data chart fade in, office whiteboard, slow camera zoom on calm face. Next, we'll step outside ourselves with Q4. What would a smart critic say? Here's a hard truth. You don't become wiser by winning. You become wiser by switching cameras. When the argument heats up, invite a second angle. What would a smart critic say? Not a caricature, not a straw man. The best version of the opposing view. That single move pulls you out of your echo chamber and into real understanding. The weak want to win. The clever want to understand. But the wise? They want to understand even those who oppose them, because wisdom survives pressure. Picture this. A coworker declares, "Capitalism is the best system." Instead of firing back, ask, what would a thoughtful critic say? Maybe they'd point out how markets can concentrate power or limit opportunity. Now flip it. Social programs are the answer to everything. A critic might warn about incentives, dependency, or hidden costs. You didn't surrender your view. You strengthened it by letting it face honest resistance. Marcus Aurelius taught, mastery means grasping another's argument as clearly as your own. In a relationship, when someone says, "You never listen," try, "If you were me hearing this, how would you feel?" The tone shifts from accusation to understanding. In a debate, ask, "If you were born in another country, would you still think the same?" Psychology calls it perspective taking. Stoicism calls it expanding the view. Both reduce ego threat and invite cooperation. Before your next tough conversation, write the strongest case against your own position in 3 sentences. Then ask, what part of this is undeniably true? Truth can handle pressure, ego can't. And the more you practice this, the calmer you become. because clarity replaces the need to dominate. See through the other lens before defending your own. Hands drawing two overlapping circles, shared center. Camera pans from one person's eyes to another's. Next, let's stretch this awareness across humanity itself, the final question. This is the question that tests not your logic, but your conscience. Ask it when pride disguises itself as principle. What would happen if everyone thought like me? If your belief scaled to the whole world, would it heal or would it harm? Would it make people freer or more fearful? This question turns philosophy into responsibility. It asks whether your reasoning still holds when it leaves the comfort of your ego and meets the weight of humanity. That's what the Stoics meant by living in agreement with nature, thinking not just as an individual, but as a citizen of the world. You refuse to forgive? Ask, what if everyone did the same? You cut corners for convenience? What if every doctor, engineer, or parent did that? You stay silent in the face of injustice? What world would that create? Suddenly, morality stops being abstract, it becomes personal. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What's bad for the hive is bad for the bee." The Socratic Method meets Stoic philosophy right here in responsibility over rhetoric. Wisdom isn't just about winning arguments. It's about shaping the kind of world your words would build if everyone spoke like you. Before each big decision, pause and test it with this lens. If everyone did what I'm about to do, would life move closer to truth or further from it? That single pause can turn impulse into integrity. Because the real victory isn't proving you're right, it's proving you're aware. The final test of wisdom is universality. Wide aerial of city lights dissolve into one candle lighting many others. The Socratic Method isn't about crushing people, it's about dissolving illusion. You don't win by volume, you win by clarity. You don't conquer others, you illuminate truth. Use questions to dominate, and you become a manipulator. Use them to awaken, and you become a philosopher. The Stoics warned of four vices: arrogance, mock wisdom, endless doubt, and judgment. But they praised three virtues: humility, curiosity, and collaboration. A true Stoic doesn't shout to be right, they ask softly, and let others hear themselves. So whisper this to yourself: I choose awareness. That's your commitment to live, to question, and to grow with calm strength. Because the moment you start asking the right questions, you stop fearing any answer. If this message spoke to you, subscribe to Modern Stoic Notes, where ancient wisdom meets modern resilience. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can say is nothing. After you ask a question, resist the urge to fill the silence. Just wait. That silence isn't empty, it's pressure. It forces the other person to face their own thoughts, instead of hiding behind noise. Psychologists call it cognitive dissonance. Stoics call it discipline. The longer you can stay silent, the more truth begins to rise. So after you ask, how do you know that's true? Or, what are you assuming? Stop talking. Let the question echo. Let it work like gravity. Because silence is not the absence of power, it's its concentration. Strategic silence. The second tool is the clarification loop. When someone's answer sounds vague or too polished, ask, can you explain that a bit more? Then ask again and again, not to trap them, but to help them see the fuzziness in their own logic. Most people don't understand what they believe until they've had to explain it 3 times. Each repetition digs deeper into awareness. The third tool is the example trap. When someone speaks in absolutes, people never change. Everyone's like that. Ask for one real example. Truth survives contact with specifics. Illusion doesn't. And finally, the consistency check. Say calmly, you said A earlier, and now you're saying B. How do those fit together? You're not attacking, you're holding up a mirror. Contradictions reveal where emotion overrules logic. Once people hear themselves, clarity often arrives without you saying another word. These aren't tricks. They're the silent blades of dialogue helping conversations return to honesty. You guide, not dominate. You question, not accuse. You pause, not preach. That's how the Socratic method lives inside modern Stoic philosophy. Calm, clear, and unshakably human. Power comes not from volume, but from disciplined curiosity. Hands closing a notebook, slow zoom on calm face, ticking clock fades to silence. Defense. When the questions turn back on you, the moment someone turns your own weapon back on you, pause. Don't rush to defend, explain, or retaliate. Take a breath. They're not attacking you, they're testing the truth within you. That's the real purpose of the Socratic method. Not to expose weakness, but to reveal what's real. If your ideas are solid, they'll stand. If not, you've been handed the gift of refinement. When someone asks you a piercing question, don't panic, pivot, say calmly, "That's a good question. What's your view on it?" You turn confrontation into dialogue, the spotlight into a mirror. Because a Stoic conversation isn't a duel, it's a dance between two minds searching for clarity. But remember, not every moment calls for logic. When someone grieves, questioning isn't wisdom, it's cruelty. When someone's angry, logic sounds like arrogance. When love speaks, too many questions sound like judgment, not care. A true Stoic knows timing is half of wisdom. Knowing when not to speak is as vital as knowing what to say. Sometimes silence shows more strength than argument. Sometimes empathy is more persuasive than reason. You don't use fire to calm a storm. You wait, you watch, and when the wind settles, you speak with precision. The art of defense isn't counterattack, it's self-mastery. When you can stay calm under questioning, you stop reacting and start evolving. Because truth doesn't fear inquiry, and peace doesn't fear silence. True strength is staying calm when the world demands reaction. Ocean waves returning to stillness, close-up of slow-breathing camera fade to light. In today's world, wisdom isn't proven by how much you say, it's revealed by the questions you ask. Every environment you step into, your job, your relationships, even your inner dialogue, gives you a chance to practice this art. The Socratic method isn't locked in ancient Athens. It's alive in every quiet moment where curiosity replaces control. At work, most people lead by command. Do it this way. But a Stoic leader asks, if we did the opposite, what risks would we face? That question does two things. It earns trust, and it invites ownership. Authority demands compliance. Curiosity builds alignment. In sales, instead of pressure, ask, if nothing changes, what will your situation look like 6 months from now? You're not forcing a decision, you're creating a mirror. And in that reflection, people often see their own urgency. You don't sell by pressure, you sell by awakening clarity. In parenting or teaching, the best lessons aren't shouted, they're asked. What do you think will happen if you do that again? That question turns fear into reflection. It teaches responsibility, not obedience. It raises thinkers, not followers. And in love, where emotions run, deepest questions become bridges. What do you need most right now to feel heard? One honest question can heal what 100 explanations never could. Because in relationships, the goal isn't to win, it's to understand. This is where philosophy becomes medicine for modern life. Each question is a gentle interruption to the noise, a way of saying, let's think before we react. That's Sam Goad. The Socratic method, at its heart, isn't about intellect, it's about presence. The willingness to pause, to see clearly, and to guide without control. So before your next conversation, at work, at home, or inside your own mind, ask. Don't assume, because sometimes one sincere question can do what 1,000 clever words never could. Wisdom isn't how loud you speak, it's how deeply you ask. The final reflection, the ethics of asking. The power of a question means nothing without the wisdom to use it well. Socrates wasn't executed for lies. He was executed for questions that were too true. That's the price of real inquiry, because every question carries power. And like all power, it demands restraint. You can use questions to corner, humiliate, or dominate, or use them to illuminate, awaken, and liberate. The difference isn't in the words, it's in the heart behind them. The Stoics taught, every thinker must guard 3 virtues and avoid 4 vices. 1. Intellectual humility, the courage to admit you don't know everything. 2. Sincere curiosity, asking not to prove, but to understand. 3. Collaborative thinking, seeking truth together, not victory alone. The 4 vices. Arrogance, believing your mind stands above others. Mock wisdom, using questions to humiliate, not to heal. Endless skepticism, tearing everything down, but building nothing back. Judgment, believing you alone hold the truth. A true Stoic philosopher doesn't shout to be right, they ask softly and let others hear themselves. Because sometimes, the quietest question cuts deeper than any argument. So the final question Socrates left humanity was this: do you truly understand yourself? The 5 Socratic questions were never meant as weapons for debate. They're exercises in awareness for mind-seeking mastery, not dominance. So when you speak, don't react, observe. When you teach, don't impose, guide. When you struggle, don't fight, discover. Because the moment you start asking the right questions, you stop fearing any answer. If this message spoke to you, whisper these words, not to me, but to yourself. I choose awareness. That's your commitment to live, to question, and to grow with the calm strength of a Stoic mind. This is not the end, it's the beginning. If this message inspired you, subscribe to Modern Stoic Notes, where ancient wisdom meets modern resilience.